The little girl's tiny finger trembled as she pointed toward the faded compass tattoo on the stranger's forearm. Her innocent blue eyes widened with certainty before she spoke words that shattered a lonely father's world in an instant. "Hello, sir. Our mother has a tattoo just like yours." Time seemed to stop. The paper coffee cup slipped from his hand and crashed onto the pavement, hot coffee spreading across the park walkway as his heartbeat thundered louder than the laughter of children around him. For 8 painful years, he had buried memories he believed would never return. Yet 3 little girls, dressed alike and standing side by side beneath the warm afternoon sun, had unknowingly opened a door to a past he had spent nearly a decade trying to forget. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Soulful Tales too. Your support helps us continue bringing heartfelt stories that remind us hope can appear when we least expect it. Gideon Mercer had never imagined that a quiet Saturday afternoon at Maple Grove Park would become the turning point of his life. At 38 years old, he had grown accustomed to silence. Every morning began before sunrise as he prepared breakfast for his 12-year-old son Rowan, before driving him to school and heading to work as a furniture craftsman. Every evening ended the same way, with unfinished paperwork on the kitchen table and a lingering emptiness inside the small home that once echoed with dreams of a larger family. Friends admired his strength, but none of them truly understood how exhausting loneliness could become when it quietly settled into every corner of life. Years earlier, Gideon had fallen deeply in love with a young wildlife photographer named Maren Holloway. Their relationship had been full of adventure, laughter, and impossible dreams. They traveled through forests, mountains, and coastlines whenever they could afford it, documenting nature and collecting memories instead of expensive possessions. During one unforgettable trip to a remote lighthouse overlooking the Atlantic, they had promised each other that no matter where life carried them, they would always find their way back. To celebrate that promise, they each received matching compass tattoos, small symbols reminding them that true love always points home. Life, however, had different plans. Only months after the tattoos, tragedy struck. During a severe storm while Maren was photographing endangered seabirds along a dangerous cliff, an accident occurred. Rescue teams searched for days but discovered only damaged equipment washed ashore. Authorities concluded that she had fallen into the raging sea and could not have survived. There was never a body, only endless uncertainty. Gideon refused to believe she was gone. But after years of waiting and searching, hope slowly transformed into quiet grief. Eventually, he married someone else, believing it was time to move forward. His wife, Celeste, was kind and patient, and together they welcomed Rowan into the world. But happiness proved heartbreakingly brief. Celeste became seriously ill shortly after Rowan turned 3. Despite every treatment available, she passed away, leaving Gideon once again alone. From that day forward, every decision he made revolved around being the best father he could become. On that peaceful autumn afternoon, Rowan had wandered toward the playground while Gideon rested on a nearby bench. Golden leaves drifted gently through the air as children laughed beneath towering oak trees. That was when the 3 identical girls approached him with remarkable confidence. They could not have been older than 6. Each wore the same navy coat, white tights, polished shoes, and matching ribbons in neatly brushed blonde hair. Their expressions carried curiosity rather than fear. When the first girl pointed toward his tattoo, Gideon's entire body stiffened. His mind instantly returned to windswept cliffs, salty ocean air, and promises made beneath an old lighthouse. Surely it was coincidence. Countless people had compass tattoos, yet something about the children's certainty unsettled him. His eyes searched beyond them, and then he noticed a woman standing near the playground entrance. She appeared frozen in place, gripping the strap of her handbag as though she could barely breathe. Though years had passed, Gideon recognized her instantly. The gentle eyes, the determined posture. Even from a distance, he knew the face that had haunted every dream for 8 years. Maren. His heart refused to believe what his eyes were seeing. She looked older, her face carrying traces of hardship. But there was no mistaking her identity. She slowly stepped forward before suddenly stopping again, tears already streaming down her cheeks. Neither of them could move. Neither could understand how such a moment could possibly exist. The children looked back and forth between the two adults, sensing emotions far beyond their understanding. The truth, when it finally emerged, sounded more unbelievable than fiction. Maren had survived the accident. After being swept far from the cliffs by violent currents, she had been discovered unconscious by a small fishing vessel operating hundreds of miles away. Severe injuries and memory loss erased nearly every detail of her previous life. For years, she struggled simply to remember her own name. The family who rescued her helped her recover, believing she had no relatives searching for her, because no identification had survived the storm. During rehabilitation, she slowly rebuilt her life. Although fragments of memory occasionally surfaced, none remained long enough to reveal who she had once been. She later met a compassionate teacher named Ellis, who accepted her mysterious past without demanding answers. They married and eventually welcomed beautiful triplet daughters into the world. Happiness finally seemed possible again, but life dealt another cruel blow. Ellis lost his life while protecting students during a devastating school fire. Maren suddenly found herself raising 3 daughters alone while still battling confusing flashes of forgotten memories that visited her during quiet nights. Months before that afternoon in the park, she had begun experiencing increasingly vivid recollections. She remembered a lighthouse, ocean waves, a compass tattoo, a man's warm smile. Yet no names appeared. She searched online archives, contacted authorities, and reviewed old missing person records. The search moved painfully slowly. Everything changed because her daughters loved visiting Maple Grove Park. That day, while playing nearby, one of the girls noticed Gideon's tattoo before Maren herself had seen him. Children often notice details adults overlook. Their innocent curiosity became the bridge between 2 broken lives. The reunion that followed was anything but simple. Both carried years of grief, unanswered questions, and entirely different lives shaped by unimaginable loss. Gideon had mourned her, remarried, buried another beloved partner, and devoted himself to raising Rowan. Maren had built a new family, loved another good man deeply, and now carried the responsibility of 3 little girls who depended entirely on her. There could never be a simple return to the past. Instead, there was honesty. Weeks turned into months as the families cautiously grew closer. Rowan initially struggled to understand why his father smiled more often after meeting the mysterious woman at the park. The triplets, meanwhile, adored Rowan almost immediately, treating him like the older brother they had always wished for. Their afternoons filled with bicycle rides, homemade cookies, school projects, and games across the same park where destiny had quietly reunited 2 forgotten souls. Gideon and Maren spent countless evenings sharing the missing chapters of their lives. There were tears for the years stolen from them, gratitude for the people who had loved them during their darkest seasons, and quiet acceptance that neither wished to erase the lives they had lived. Instead, they honored every person whose love had carried them forward. One evening, they returned together to the old lighthouse where everything had once begun. The weather was calm, the sea peaceful beneath a sky painted with orange and purple. Standing beside the weathered stone railing, they compared their faded compass tattoos. Time had softened the ink, but not the promise hidden beneath it. They realized the tattoos had never guaranteed they would avoid hardship. They simply reminded them that even when life scattered people across impossible distances, hope could still point them home. The following year, the 2 families officially became one. Not through replacing memories, but by creating new ones. Rowan gained 3 energetic younger sisters who constantly filled the house with laughter. The triplets found a dependable father figure who patiently braided hair, attended dance recitals, repaired broken toys, and read bedtime stories with dramatic voices that made them giggle until they fell asleep. Neighbors often remarked that the Mercer home somehow seemed brighter than any other on the street. Flowers bloomed in every season. Children's bicycles covered the driveway. Family photographs gradually filled every hallway. Visitors noticed something even more remarkable. No picture was ever removed. Images of Celeste remained proudly displayed beside photographs of Ellis. Maren insisted that love never disappeared simply because life continued. Gideon agreed completely. Their children grew up understanding that families could be built not only through birth, but through compassion, remembrance, forgiveness, and extraordinary second chances. Years later, when the triplets became teenagers, they often laughed about the afternoon that changed everything. They never fully appreciated the courage it took for two broken adults to trust life again after losing so much. Yet every family gathering reminded them that miracles rarely arrive with flashing lights or dramatic announcements. Sometimes they begin with a child's innocent observation and a simple greeting, offered to a stranger sitting quietly on a park bench. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to Soulful Tales so more people can experience stories that restore faith in love, hope, and humanity. Special request, please comment. Hope always finds a way. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change someone's life forever. As the sun set behind Maple Grove Park many years later, Gideon watched Rowan and his three sisters laughing beneath the same towering oak trees where destiny had reunited two lost souls. He gently touched the faded compass tattoo on his arm and smiled. The ink had grown old, but its promise had never faded. Sometimes life breaks hearts beyond repair. Sometimes it scatters families across oceans of grief. Yet every so often, when hope seems completely gone, love quietly finds its way home through the most unexpected voices of all. And on one unforgettable afternoon, it arrived through three little girls who simply said, "Hello, sir. Our mother has a tattoo just like yours."